Hey, and welcome to another edition of What's Next with Joey McGuire. With Joey McGuire, I'm Robert Giovanetti. Coach, lots to talk about today. You guys had scrimmage too on Saturday, and so we want to get to that. Before we get started, though, I did want to give a shout out to Red Raider great Todd Walker, who played here in the Mike Leach era. He's very successful. He's an orthopedic surgeon, and Dr. Walker in the Austin area, and he's a big coffee guy. He owns coffee company, and he wants to send us some coffee. So maybe there's a time we'll be talking about Dr. Walker's coffee here in the future.
I'm all in on that.
Yeah, anytime.
I just had Americano coming down here.
Okay, so you're already in, right?
I'm in. Yeah. Well, what time is it right now? 1:30.
Yeah,
I'm still drinking coffee. Let's go.
That's good. That's how you keep. That's the secret sauce to how you keep things going. So again, don't have to be Dr. Walker. It can be others that send coffee as well. So we'll keep that coffee talk going. Thoughts from Saturday in the scrimmage? You pleased what you saw?
Yeah, some good things. It was a lot of situational stuff. We did a 2-minute, and the one scored in the 2-minute. Then we did another 2-minute to where we had to go, we were down by 8, had to go for 2. Got the touchdown, but didn't get the 2-point conversion. So that was good. I mean, just, right now, trying to have a physical camp and have us be great at situational football, because we're in a lot of one-score games the last 3 years. And whenever you're in one-score games, it's all going to come down to your football IQ, who can execute in those moments. And so we try to do that. We had a coming-out period, little overtime period. I thought the offense got started a lot faster than what they did the week before. I thought week 1 defense really dominated the scrimmage, but man, it was good. I mean, we blew a coverage, but it was good to see a touchdown connection between 2 and 5, which equals 7.
2 plus 5 equals 7.
So Caleb Douglas and Baron Morton hooked up, and that was good to see.
It was interesting just to see the different situations. I always think about that because in a game, there's so much going on at one point. So the more you can kind of get them ready and your staff ready to, right? Timeouts and where we are and what the situation, that's a lot to keep when clock's running and you're at the end of a game.
Yeah, and we're trying to put ourselves in those situations. The staff, you said it perfectly, because this is the first time that, we've been together. I reminded them actually on the staff meeting yesterday. I said, man, because at one point I was on the headset saying, hey, guys, get out of the white, because we had a Big 12 crew here, and they're working the game, and I always remind them, guys, I get claustrophobic on the sideline. I'm not supposed to be in the white after a certain point, so they can't be. And then the farther we move up, of course, the players move up, so it's almost like you're sitting there. So I reminded them, I say, guys, you might as well just get used to stepping out, signaling it, and backing up, because I don't want to have to say it the whole game.
CeeDee Lamb, he
no doubt he got lit up.
He got lit up in that game,
and that's going to cost you a penalty. In the real game, and we don't want that. I mean, you go back to the Georgia. There was one in the Georgia game where it happened the same way.
Hey, so how will that? Will Mac and Shield, will they both be on the sideline?
They're both on the sideline. And they both. That's where they've coordinated from. Yeah. I think that's going to be a really good dynamic on both sides of the ball. And then you have some guys, Cochran has been in the box. He's our run game coordinator, does a great job with that. Garrett is going to be in the box. He was in the box in the NFL, and he was in the box, for the Cornhuskers the last couple of years. And then defensively, it's kind of been a mix. They're still putting that together of who's in the box and who's on the field. And then Ryan Connery is our assistant special teams coach, and he'll be in the box hooked up with Kenny.
Does it take a certain person? Is there a certain personality type that couldn't be in the box?
Me.
I want to set that up for you.
This is no lie. So in my high school career, 23 years, I was in the box one game.
And you can't imagine you as a box guy.
In 2021, we come out of a game, and Coach Aranda is not happy with what's going on in the box. And he was like, I need somebody. And I think it was basically he was being nice. I need some older guy in the box. And I was like, I don't care. I just want to win. So I said, Coach, I'll do whatever you want me to do. So I was in the box against Oklahoma State. I was in the box for the rest of that year. But there was a moment that we get a penalty for substitution on defense. And when you're on the sideline, you can throw your headset, down. I threw it into the window,
wow.
and it kind of broke in pieces. And Sean Bell, he's a quarterback coach at Houston, and he's a great friend of mine. He turns to me and he goes, "Well, I've seen it all. I've never seen anybody throw a headset in the box, but I've seen it now." And the guy at the time, one of our equipment guys, was scrambling to get me a new headset. But yeah, I wasn't good in the box.
I couldn't see your personality. I feel like Shields kind of got that personality too, right? That he's a guy that wants to be down in the trenches and all that.
Man, he does. I think he's got the one thing. I mean, you heard it on his mic'd up, and he's got the pulse of the defense. Yeah. He's got buttons that he can push. He is also a guy that really wants to get a feel and look at the formation stuff. It's easier upstairs to do that, but you don't get the same feel of the flow of the game, and so I think he's going to be really good there, and we'll just kind of piece everything else together.
All right, so who stood out to you in the scrimmage?
I thought that guys that just continue to play at a high level, defensively, David Bailey, he's different. Lee Hunter really showed up in the scrimmage. We had a heavy rotation on the defensive front, so they were really fresh. But I thought he really ran to the football well. Jaden Cofield. Ben Roberts, who's had a really good spring I haven't talked a lot about, and he was sideline to sideline, so I thought he played really well. And then Oliver Miles came up with a big interception in a 2-minute period. I told Will Hammond, I said, look, you had to throw that ball. It was 4th down to win the game. You got to put the ball in the end zone. Yep. So it's one of those deals. You don't want an interception, but you got to put the ball in there. There's no other down to play. And so I was like, you had to do what you did, but it was a huge interception by Ollie. And then on the offense side of the ball, I thought CD played really well. I thought that Will Hammond had a good scrimmage of not putting the ball in bad situations. Some young guys like Leighton Stone with the ones made a big first down catch. Bryson Jones, but the guy that was just unreal acrobatic catches were Kelby Baslin. So it's really cool to see our young guys, yep, our redshirt sophomores and our redshirt freshmen and our freshmen, really stepping up. TJ West had a big touchdown, with the ones. Like we took some of our younger guys and put them with the ones, and so I was proud of that. And then Jacoby Williams had another big touchdown out of the backfield. He had one week 1, he had another one week 2, and so heading in the right direction. We were 4 for 4 field goals. I think Stone had a 54-yarder, and I think Upton had a 47-yarder, and Ian had like a 42-yarder. So we were 4 for 4 with that. Thought Jack punted well. We came away feeling pretty good about the scrimmage.
I like how Jacoby, when he sees that little sliver, he hits it, right?
He does, man. We've got some, the backs are, they can really get square, and they're explosive, and so it's good to see him. All of them have done a really good job.
We talked a lot about the depth on this show. We'll talk about, I think we'll do another show before the season starts. We'll go through the depth chart. Great example, though. Quentin suffered a little bit, and so
man, that was unfortunate. The one that I thought that was going to be bad, but it ended up being good, was Balfour. He rolled his ankle, but that was a huge collision. Of Lee Hunter, 330 pounds, running, and he's really fast.
That's a big guy.
And big man contact. There's usually good things that happen for the defense, but you got to have your swivel. But we had. Quentin Joyner, bounced the ball. It was really a non-contact deal, and hurt his knee, and so we're going to be without him. And man, I hate it so much for him, just because of how well he has done in the spring, summer, and camp. He has really come in here and been a pro, and we've asked him to do a lot of stuff that he has not done before. Where we are not a team that is just going to let the running back flare out on pass plays. They've got to be in protection. They got to be in the, it's more understanding what you're going to do on Sundays and pass protection and everything. And, man, he's really taken to it. And so it's unfortunate, and we're lucky that we have the room that we have. But, man, I hate it for him. And anytime any of my players, have an injury, man, it makes me sick to my stomach.
Where was he? I'm trying to think of where he was early on in the portal class, right? Wasn't he one of the first guys?
He was one of the first ones,
Yeah.
and I mean, we had connections. Jaden Cofield played with him. They're best friends. They played together in high school. He's from Maynard, same place as Taj is from. So we knew his head coach, and we kind of knew his little brother too, because his little brother's on the team, and his little brother had played a bunch of different positions. So we were able to get him, kind of at the end of the recruiting cycle, and so we had a lot of connections with him, and we're gonna put our arm around him and make sure everything is I mean, we have the best people in the world to take care of this stuff, so we will.
I just remember him early on talking about how blown away he was by everything here.
He was the one really that, like, I would say this is as good as anywhere in the country, and he corrected me. He said, Coach, this is the best in the country.
Yeah.
He said, I've been a lot of places, and so now I change my vocabulary whenever I'm talking about this place, the football resort, and it's such a great kid. He's a quiet kid, smiles a lot. We're going to keep him doing that through all the rehab and everything.
Yep. Well, hopefully it'll be a good rehab. You mentioned we got the best crew in the country to work with him. Is the two deep kind of crystallizing for you? You kind of feel pretty good about where you are? Yeah,
I do. With Q going down, we're really going to dig into special teams. Yeah. I mean, that kind of changes a little bit of how you look at your special teams. Of some of the, different parts that you were using,
some kind of consequences, right?
Yeah, there's like the offensive side of the ball, you're losing a three-headed monster, and you're fortunate with your depth. And whenever I was sitting here and I'm looking at last year versus this year, you felt really good and everybody was all warm and fuzzy because you had Taj.
Right. Yeah.
But that room, if you look at that room, you had Taj, you had a guy that had barely played at all, and two freshmen. And so we were looking at this room like, man, whenever you're talking about the three guys that we do have, then we're going to be able to use them at a lot of different places, and especially on teams. And so now you kind of revamp that and everything. But we're close. I mean, there's very few positions that I can say there's still competition, and the famous or on the depth chart,
yeah.
I do think there's going to be very little ors.
Okay.
Like, either way, that room and the running back was all going to be ors. There was going to be three ors. The tight ends, I mean, those guys, and so there's still some competition as far as a couple other spots, but, I think that we're pretty solidified in, who's going to go out there and start game one.
And again, it seems to me we're in a better spot than we've ever been as far as you look at that depth-wise up and down the lineup.
Yeah, again, I want to go back on the other side of the ball, and whenever I talk to different people and they're asking about us, and like I talked to Josh Pate the other night, and he was asking about us, and I started naming the defensive line, the D tackles and the edges, and he's like, man, your 2s and 3s started games for you last year, or started at other places, either in the Big 12 or somewhere else. And he goes, man, that depth is pretty incredible. And it kind of goes throughout the whole team of like the depth of the guys that we can go out there and play at a high level with.
Yeah, looking forward to when we announce the depth chart, we'll do that. Real quick, I want to talk about the brand. And if you haven't been watching the brand, shame on you, right? We've had 2 episodes.
Yeah.
They're really good. But in the last one, you talked to the team about, hey, you got to love this game, right?
Yeah.
You got to love it. You talked about, I love my family, but I love this game. And we actually had a story on our website about, hey, when did you first kind of fall in love with the game? With there's some great answers.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. So what was that for you? What was it like when you realized, man, this is something I want to be a part of forever?
Well, I fell in love with the game. I mean, you can go back I probably can even, I want to say like 3 or 4, man. I was going to high school games with my dad. I saw every one of Billy Sims' games his senior year, and they played for a state championship in Hooks, Texas. I saw every one of them. I don't remember any of them because I think it was like 3 or 4. But like, I grew up in the stands. Whenever I was in college, as soon as the playoffs came around, my dad and I would load up the car and we'd go all over Texas finding the best matchups. And then whenever I started coaching, we got in the playoffs. So now, that's what we did. And so, man, I've always loved the game. But watching my dad coach Little League, and he coached me, of course, and my sister and my cousins, I just saw the effect that he had on his teams, his players. And I was like, man, that's something that I really want to do.
Yeah, your dad still obviously loves the game.
Oh, man, he loves being on the sideline.
He's kind of a nervous fan too, right? Has he always been like that?
He's always been that way.
Yeah.
He's
a finger cross guy.
He's a finger cross. He's got some superstitious things, which I have a little bit, but he does. He's gonna have his fingers crossed, and it's so funny in my career. Big moments, somehow he ends up. Now, some of it's from the camera angle that we're grading from and everything,
right.
But I still remember in 2012, we're playing Austin Westlake. We're kicking a 48-yard field goal to go to the state championship game. And kind of like you, because I've seen this from you, he's standing in the end zone whenever he goes through, and he's got his hands up. If you go to the Iowa State game, when Taj scores that game-winning touchdown, my dad's in the end zone with his hands up. So, he finds a way to be right there in some big moments. Yeah,
you were watching some film once. I think it was Arizona, right?
Yeah.
And you sent me a video, and you circled me, and I was doing I was helping the officials out.
Yeah, you're helping the officials. They need help every once in a while.
Hey, it's a big week. We got kickoff luncheon Thursday. We got Knights of Columbus Saturday. Does that for you kind of go, man, we're tidying it up now. It's game time.
Yeah, I can't wait. We had a staff meeting this morning, and I told the staff that are new here, I said, when you go to the kickoff luncheon, it is going to blow you away. My first kickoff luncheon, when I walked in and to the convention center and saw just everything,
right,
from the trucks and just the band and everything, I was blown away because I'd never been a part of that. And literally when I was asking Mac, he goes, no, we've never done that. And I asked Shield, who's been to a few places, and I said, well, get ready. It's going to blow you away. And then Knights of Columbus is one of my favorite events. I still remember the first time I went to that, I told Zach Kitley, I said, this is West Texas. These people are the salt of the earth, just great people. And I love going.
And they've done a lot for us scholarship-wise. And they love them some Texas State.
They do. They do. Can't wait.
All right, that'll be a big week. Thanks again, Coach. Look forward to when we talk more about the depth chart. But that's it for Joey McGuire. I'm Robert Giovanetti, and that's been What's Next. Wreck 'em.